Experience the cage.
In an intriguing battle between power and experience, national champion of Finland, Mika Kallio, makes his pro debut against experienced and versatile Norwegian Quentin DeVreught. Kallio is a technical stand-up sniper, able to put his opponents to sleep with ease at any given time. DeVreught has the edge in experience, athleticism, and durability, and surely improves his stakes the further the fight progresses. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Mika Kallio versus Quentin DeVreught.
To the blue corner, Quentin DeVreught!
Quentin DeVreught becoming a bit of a mainstay here at Cage with his all-action style, where he leaves it all inside the cage every single time. He made his pro debut in February of 2021 with a round one triangle victory over Jack Nicholas. However, he is currently coming off of a first round rear naked choke loss to the fantastic Finnish grappler Elonen-Kulmala. The thing is, though, DeVreught started off very, very well. In fact, he does that for most of his fights. He usually tends to take an early lead against almost every single fighter he faces. He has a judo background, which you will see displayed in some fantastic hip tosses that he manages to score time and time again. And, you know, the couple that fight together stay together. A true power couple here, as well as his fiancée Nicole is also a fighter, and who will compete in Sweden next month on her end. So that's probably why she's not here. She's preparing for her fight. But yeah, Quentin DeVreught, an all-action fighter, the type of guy that we want to see here in Helsinki every single weekend if we see him a choice. But obviously, he needs a little bit of time to recoup.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, phenomenal. Every time he comes here, he comes to fight, and he gets off to a fast start. And really just an indomitable spirit that seems to be bred by confidence. You know, and that's something he has in spades. He's just very, very certain of the quality of his performance. And thus far, he hasn't been wrong in terms of all of his fights are exciting.
To the red corner, Mika Kallio!
Now we have Mika Kallio making his walk to the cage for his MMA debut. Surprisingly enough, taking on the 6-5 Quentin DeVreught. This is an interesting one. Mika Kallio is a Finnish MMA national champion as an amateur, but this is indeed his MMA professional debut. He does have a long history of competition, though. Quick hands, very solid technical striker with very good movement. He's got a phenomenal check left hook that he'll look to put to work as Quentin DeVreught gets his early quick start as usual, I would imagine. Let's see how this one plays out tonight. Again, KO power for Mika Kallio. indomitable spirit from Quentin DeVreught. This is going to be very, very interesting to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Kallio wouldn't be making this debut against this caliber of opponent if it wasn't for that, amateur experience that he has. As you mentioned, 2018 Finnish champion, 2016 bronze medalist, 2017 gold medalist. He's represented the Finnish national MMA team very successfully, where he's met top-notch competition. I mean, he's fought the likes of Markus Mäki-Ventilä, Oskar Bila, and of course Issa Isakov. That loss to Isakov has aged like fine wine for sure.
Another fight that was, actually, let's take a look at the tail of the tape, shall we?
As you can see, DeVreught definitely the taller of the two, slightly heavier, and with more of the reach as well. So he is the bigger fighter, also slightly older, and of course, much more experience on the pro scene. Will that translate to a win here in Helsinki? That question will be answered inside the cage.
Yeah, also worth noting, this is a catchweight fight at 80 kilos even.
DeVreught is huge for the weight class.
In the blue corner, fighter with a professional record of 6 wins and 5 losses, weighing 80 kilos, fighting out of Larvik, Norway, Quentin, Hybrid Viking, DeVreught! In the red corner, Finnish fighter in his pro debut, weighing 79.6 kilos, representing 03 fight team, fighting out of Jyväskylä, Finland, Mika Kallio!
All right, what an exciting catchweight bout this should be.
Mika Kallio versus Quentin DeVreught, one man making his debut, the other looking to pick up his first victory here at Cage. Sadly, Quentin DeVreught's luck hasn't been so great here on Finnish soil, but he's got an interesting matchup here.
Yeah, his last victory was in June of 2022, where he TKO'd Matthew Holland in the second round. So, as you mentioned, Steve, this is his third trip to Cage MMA here in Finland. Let's see if the third time indeed is the charm. Touch of gloves, here we go. The second Norway versus Finland matchup here on the card. The first one was on the sort of dark preliminary card. It was Norway that emerged victorious there.
Kallio looking a bit tentative thus far. Hasn't thrown anything, and when he does, unfortunately gets taken down and then taken to the cage and then almost picked up and dumped.
And this is that hybrid Viking pace, Team Valhalla could not be a more appropriate name for his fighting style. I mean, he goes out on his shield or gets returned on top of it like a true Viking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a pretty fair assessment of how his matchups tend to go. And anytime, he's still going for it. Every time he comes to fight. This time is no different. Mika Kallio, perhaps a bit nervous early, hasn't had an opportunity to throw any of his own offense that I've seen thus far.
I liked that knee to the midsection there from DeVreught.
I'll tell you who didn't like that, Mika Kallio. Good early pace.
He's just punishing from every position here is DeVreught. He's just not relenting, not giving Kallio a single moment of peace to just, kind of collect himself and get his bearings back under him.
I think that was the first, those two small strikes, I believe, were the first that Mika Kallio has thrown thus far as a professional. That's, you need to, it's of course very, very startling to get in there, but you got to get that pace up. You got to have some kind of answer here.
And this is, it's a grueling pace. I mean, this is the first minutes of Kallio's pro career, and it's been all uphill battling for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see once he's able to get his bearings and kind of get settled in, if he's able to make use of that incredible striking he's got. He does have an excellent check left hook, for example, which can be useful. That left hook can be useful on the break when these two are in such close proximity. And one phenomenal fight, his fight was with Romeo Thonvera. He absolutely flatlined Romeo Thonvera with that left hook. anyone willing to throw leather with a guy like Thonvera has my respect. So he's got to get Quentin DeVreught's respect by throwing some offense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to allude to as well. He almost took the words out of my mouth. We know we have seen how powerful Kallio's striking is, and that was with, you know, the thicker amateur gloves. So with smaller 4-ounce gloves, I believe it is, I mean, that threat should be even bigger.
But he needs to get space, right? So he's not going to find those kind of shots here. He does well in relatively close quarters, but not this close.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, DeVreught, he's just a physical specimen. I've actually been told that he has the pound-for-pound biggest biceps in all of his gym. Admittedly, he was the one that told me, so perhaps take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But regardless, I mean, we know that he is a beast, especially in that opening round.
I'm sorry. Doesn't he train under Jürgen Hamberg?
DeVreught, no?
Oh, my apologies. Yeah, I was about to say, those are the pound-for-pound biggest biceps I've seen. But looking for a takedown there. Now, Kallio has some distance. Let's see if he's able to put something together on the feet. Oh, looks like he might have kicked a knee there.
Yeah, that was a good check there from DeVreught. Timed it perfectly.
1 minute.
Kallio looks calm, though.
Gets a kick in there. Yeah, I mean, he does have a long, you know, history of competition. So the experience isn't everything as a professional, though it is critically important. And there is a clear advantage in that area for DeVreught.
And DeVreught just peppering the thin with those kicks, going high, going low, going to the midsection. He does not discriminate. Oh, another solid inside leg kick there from DeVreught. That's money in the bank for the later rounds.
DeVreught has dangerous kicks, very explosive striking overall, but his kicks are absolutely excellent.
I really like that inside leg kick that he's scored several times now, and it really is getting Kallio off.
Hard right hand from Kallio. Maybe that got a bit of respect from DeVreught.
An exciting first round there. Just when it seemed like DeVreught was gonna sort of be able to sort of end this fighting out on the outside, picking his shots with the kicks, that's when Kallio struck like a cobra.
Here you have that failed head kick from Kallio, getting him taken down by DeVreught. DeVreught spent a good deal of time applying pressure and applying that right hand here up against the cage. But a bit later in the round, Kallio was able to tag him with that right hand and then a bit of a left hook. Was able to maybe get a little bit of respect on his name.
And honestly, that wasn't a bad takedown attempt. I think that perhaps just DeVreught didn't even have the energy or the confidence to continue driving with it. He might have been able to get a second takedown if he would have continued.
DeVreught recomposing himself, gives that confident flex to the crowd.
Yep, showing off those biceps.
Kallio looks like he has some renewed confidence now. I feel like he felt that success in the first round at that very end, you know, bit, and now he seems to be ready to apply some pressure.
DeVreught, he's got a kind of awkward striking style. It kind of reminds me of Dricus du Plessis in a way, but it's like a little like, you know, herky-jerky almost. He looks a little bit more tired than he is, and it can be very daunting to face somebody with an unorthodox striking style, because when you're sparring and you're throwing pads, you're doing it traditionally. It's very hard to find somebody who fights with the sort of odd angles that DeVreught does.
Oh,
nice 1-2 there from a Norwegian.
Yeah, right through the guard.
Oh, and another one.
Good leg kick by Kallio.
Oh, I mean, he's really starting to find his mark with that 1-2 as DeVreught. I'd like to see him perhaps follow up with a kick and maybe a takedown attempt.
DeVreught seems to have found his range. It kind of looks like he's got Kallio's number a little bit. If he can piece together those kicks, he's really in business here. This is such a dangerous fight for your pro debut for Mika Kallio. But it's also, I mean, it's a very important fight for DeVreught, you know?
High risk, high reward for Kallio, definitely. I mean, I'd say that he, on paper, stands to win more off of it. That being said, I mean, he's being thrown into the deep end of the pool, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the shots that DeVreught is able to put together, this is the very definition of the deep end.
Yeah.
Kallio, patient, pushing forward.
Again, DeVreught finds the target. He does have a nice left check hook as well. Keep an eye out for that. And he's landing that, you know, sort of outside lead kick to the body almost at will.
And, you know, slowly by slowly, this is a little bit getting away from Kallio, though, in terms of the volume being thrown by DeVreught.
Yeah, because he's being forced to react instead of being the one pressing the action. Again, that was a very nice combination. And look at the redness on Kallio's lead leg there.
The redness on his leg is, I mean, look at the redness on his nose.
Yeah, that's on his body.
Yeah.
That was a nice strike there from the fin.
Absolutely.
Takedown attempt. He's on the single.
Let's see, is Kallio able to defend this one off and get back to the open where he is obviously performing a bit better.
I mean, DeVreught got him down, but only momentarily. He does have his hands clasped together by the looks of things.
Yep.
And there, that was a missing piece of a puzzle right there, hooking the legs together. But, I mean, again, the defensive wrestling of Kallio, holding up, gets right back up to his feet.
It seems like skill-wise it will continue to hold up as long as he has the cardio to maintain this. But getting up every single time, you're picking up, what, 80 kilos off the ground? Like, that's not a simple maneuver. Okay, it's simple, but it ain't easy.
Yeah. Okay, manages to disengage. Less than a minute and a half left to go in the middle round.
I'm going to be honest with you. If Kallio was looking at me like that, I would be scared. Bloodied nose, but he looks game as they come, ready to keep throwing leather. DeVreught again trying for a takedown.
That was a bit choreographed, though. He didn't really disguise that takedown attempt with some setup strikes.
No, but I mean, if he's just trying to make sure that he maintains control of where the fight takes place, he gets that. And that might be all that's necessary, you know, considering the work he's done thus far. He's bloodied Kallio. If he can continue to push him up against the cage in a place where he clearly has an advantage and is not in danger, why not?
Yeah.
That's a path to victory.
Yeah, that's a great point, Steve. And if you watch this and think to yourself, DeVreught sure seems to have a force on his side. Could be a testament to the Star Wars tattoos on his chest.
Wow. Quite a pace here.
And let's be honest, it's a grueling fight style for both fighters because both attempting the takedown and defending it.
I didn't see if those elbows landed, but Elonen threw it.
Yeah, he
Just
did.
chopped with that one.
Might have been a 12-6-ish.
I'm not the judge of that. I'll let the ref make that determination.
Let's take a look at some of that action. What a round.
DeVreught throws that right hand. Seems to find the mark.
Yeah, whether it was off the jab or the lead hook, I mean, that straight right for DeVreught was money.
Spins Kallio around and almost, looks like he almost exhausted himself a bit there.
Yeah.
And you know, that has been, I think the tail of it is in the open, DeVreught has been able to hit Kallio with some pretty good shots, and then every single time he wants to, he's able to push it to the cage. Can't always keep it there, can't always keep Kallio down, but he's been able to determine where the fight takes place. And we know that DeVreught has really, really solid knees and elbows from the clinch. He's a competent grappler, no question about it. Let's see what happens here.
And there seems to be some kind of issue with DeVreught's glove.
We'll call this a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah. Here we go, third and final round. Norway's Quentin DeVreught in the blue corner against Finland's Mika Kallio in the red.
Kallio seems to understand a bit what's at stake, but he's not able to keep DeVreught off of him. DeVreught hits that takedown.
Oh, triangle here from the bottom.
Kallio may have this. That is very well placed.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the positioning. Oh, he's got getting on the
tight.
arm.
That is so tight. Look at the veins bulging in DeVreught's head.
He doesn't seem to have the best squeeze with it, though. Right now, if you were to get his right leg sort of more parallel to DeVreught's body, then he would get a little bit tighter. Right now, it's like he's got the positioning, but not the best positioning for the squeeze.
Right. But those elbows, I mean, if he can rack up more of those, maybe get some cuts in. He's got phenomenal positioning, you know, in terms of like for doing some damage. So let's see what he's able to do here. Maybe pull that head down a bit.
DeVreught trying to obstruct the breathing of his opponent.
Yeah, when he's already got a pretty busted up nose, that doesn't feel like it would be very fun. He's kind of, doesn't quite seem to be applying the pressure he needs to.
Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't really have, I mean, it's like, it's in, but it's not properly in to be able to squeeze. And, you know, credit to Kallio, this is his pro debut, so some of those, you know, kind of rookie mistakes you would expect them to be made in one's debut.
Yeah, I mean, even just pulling this right leg down a bit tighter to try and increase the squeeze might be helpful. Those elbows are definitely also going to be helpful.
Oh, it looks like he's gripping the glove of DeVreught, at least momentarily.
It looked like he was trying for the forearm, though, to me. It didn't seem like that was ill-intended.
Yeah, that's a good point.
These elbows are great. How many of these are you know, do you let him eat, though? They're not fighting any shots, of course, but, and he is trying to fight back here. But that's damage, you know, that, ooh. I see some blood on the mat there. Not 100, is that from the knees of DeVreught?
I don't think so. If Kallio were to just adjust his right leg a little bit, I think it might be a completely different story.
He's near his corner. Oddly enough, it looks like the cut on the head is on Kallio.
Yeah,
despite
by the
fact,
hairline.
yeah, despite the fact that DeVreught is literally locked in a triangle right now, and Kallio has been elbowing him in the skull. And somehow, somewhere, Kallio got cut on the hairline instead.
And, you know, interesting scoring here because, like, okay, you have one guy who's in a submission, but it's hardly tight, so it's more kind of keeping him in place as opposed to, you know, being near fight ending. If you take away the submission threat, because let's face it, there is no threat of submission right now, it's DeVreught on top.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
It's
so
tricky situation, right?
If you're Kallio, what you really need to focus on is those elbows. You're in a position where DeVreught can't stop you from doing them, or at least not effectively stop you from doing them. So go. Cut him open. Do your best to try and actually end the fight via that mechanism, because that appears to be, you know, he's not in danger. Kallio is not in a great deal of danger. So let's see if maybe you can find a path to victory here if you're going to be content in this position.
And I'm a little surprised that Kallio hasn't kind of readjusted the positioning or maybe even tried to go for an armbar instead.
He needs to do something here, though, because those first two rounds, arguably were for DeVreught. This one's been phenomenal in terms of, like, he's kept DeVreught in the position he wants him, but he's not been able to do all that much with it.
And
Now he's going for an armbar.
Too little, too late, though.
Right. That was a phenomenal debut, though, for Mika Kallio. You know, in terms of that last round, he really shined. He did, you know, he had moments of offense. Granted, he wasn't, like, it wasn't the fight-ending sequence he may have wanted because of the incorrect positioning on that triangle, but, hey, he showed he can absolutely compete with somebody like Quentin DeVreught, who has a mess of skills and incredible, you know, physicality to him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure this is just a taste of what's to come for Mika Kallio. I'm sure much greater things await us. And I think the cut might have been established even earlier in the fight, actually, not in the third. There's that takedown. Honestly, it was probably the best takedown that DeVreught had, but it was almost right. You know, he waited a little too long in a precarious position, got stuck in that triangle. Yeah, honestly, that was a great takedown, but he got a little too comfortable. That being said, Kallio didn't really have what was needed to be able to establish a proper triangle submission attempt.
Yeah, and I think, you know, again, DeVreught is a competent grappler. He's not going to make, well, you know, you could argue that he did make a mistake in terms of he was in a poor position and he wasn't able to find his way out of it, but he didn't seem in too much danger there. So, you know, it's got to be a bit disappointing for Mika Kallio to have so much positional control, so near to a submission attempt in your debut, and not able to quite make hay of it. That's rough.
Well, let's see what the judges have concocted with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 full rounds, we got the judges' decision. Judge 1 scored the fight 30-26 Kallio. Judge 2 scored this fight 28-29 DeVreught. Judge 3 scored this fight 30-27, winner by split decision, Mika Kallio!
Okay, well, there you have it. Mika Kallio took a victory here tonight, and sadly, for Quentin DeVreught, the third time was not the charm, unfortunately. It was a phenomenal performance. You know, he had a good deal of positional control in rounds 1 and 2, but Mika Kallio took the victory.
I gotta say, I'm surprised at the 30-27.
Yeah, that doesn't make a great deal of sense to me, but I'll leave that to the relevant and competent folks who make those calls.
Mika, onneksi olkoon, hieno voitto. Kerro vähän fiiliksiä.
Kiitos. Oli vähän rankempaa kuin ajattelin, että ei saanut oikein pystypeliä oikein toimimaan. Tuntui, että jalat on ihan suossa, mutta kokemuksella sitten kavittiin loppuun, eikä tässä.
Siinä otettiin ja annettiin siinä pystyottelussa. Sä päätit tuon 3. erän viettää tuossa, pitää kaverien triangelissa ja hallita sitä siitä kautta.
Joo, se oli vielä sen verran vahva siinä lopussa, että mä en lähdin riskeeraamaan mitään pöliä. Että mulla oli se niin hyvin kiinni ja mä tiedän, että mä pystyn olemaan siinä pitkään. Että ajattelin vaan, että tekee tyhmän virheen ja pistetään sitten pakettiin, mutta sitten se tyytyi vaan istua siinä. Niin mä, että eihän mulla tässä ole mikään oltava, että hänellähän se on kiire.
Kerro vähän, miten valmistautuminen otteluun meni.
No, 2 viikkoa käytännössä reenattiin, että maaliskuun olin kipeänä ja tämän viikon olin mahataudissa tuohon torstaihin asti, että siitä vähän tuo jalkojen sooseus ehkä. Ei oikein ollut herkkyyttä jaloissa, niin tällä mennään, ei auta muu.
No seuraava ammattilaisottelu tuoreimmalla jalalla, onneksi olkoon.
Kiitos paljon. Kiitos kaikille, ketkä olitte tsemppaa sillä taustalla, oli kiva kuulla. Kiitos.
Mika Kallio!
There you have it. Mika Kallio victorious in his professional debut.
Yeah, a controversial decision to be sure, let's be honest about it, but yeah, regardless, a victory for the debutant Mika Kallio.
Yeah, good work by Kallio though to, stay in the game there, and despite having difficulty in the first 2 rounds, he ends up, in what would, I suppose, be considered the most dominant position of anyone in the fight, considering that he did have the head and neck well cinched in his legs and was able to deliver elbows for which there was no real answer.
Judge felt that he won those 2 first rounds even though having so much problems in them. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand it myself.
You are about to experience the cage.